You're watching Notepad. I'm your host Ibrahim Sani. A few days ago, Canon has launched their EOS R5 as well as R6. This is a big announcement by Canon. In fact, one of the bigger announcements in recent years. They've been teasing out the R5 for quite a bit now, for a few months actually, and it's now out. They have a retail price that they have announced. They have a launch date in Malaysia that they have announced. All that is in store for us. This is a big deal because since the 5D Mark II, Canon has been having this conversation with a lot of users out there on how best to improve their EOS series. What better way to introduce a mirrorless full-frame camera right now when everybody's using cameras to actually produce content on their own. I don't have these luxuries of our good colleagues behind the camera right now shooting me, but that is what we are moving towards in terms of normalization of the post-MCO life. And what people don't know is that I've been using the M50 for quite a bit now. It's a very small, crop mirrorless camera. Was one of the best cameras for a few years ago, and therefore I've been using it now, and I've been swapping lenses, trying to get myself acquainted with it. Now the conversation is, would a user like me want to look at the EOS R5 for a more dramatic change, a little bit more challenging conversation to be had in terms of creating content. One thing interesting about the R5 is that you can create 8K, also 4K, but there are some issues surrounding it pre-launch. So those are the conversations that I want to have with Canon right now. Joining me in the studio is Albert Mah, the Senior Manager of ICP, or the Imaging Communication Products. This is basically Canon camera people talking to us, and it's been quite of a delight for you to have us. Albert, let's talk a little bit about the launch itself. The MCO has pushed you guys to launch in a virtual way. Not often do we see a retail product or a prosumer product like this being launched in a retail way before, but now it's the norm. Yes. Canon is no excuse or no different from all the other companies right now. Let's talk about the launch process per se. Was that as ideal as you would like to do it?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on the show. As for the launch, well, ideally we would like to have a bigger launch with more activities and more people, more touch and feel for such a product as the R5 and the R6 because of its cutting edge technology that we are bringing to the consumers. But we make what we have, and I think the launch that we did was very successful under the circumstances.
And of course, it was more of a Southeast Asia kind of reach. There are folks from Singapore,
yes,
as well as other regions as well. Let's talk about that reach. Why now? Why this region? And why, of course, mid-July?
Yes, this launch was for the whole region, and the reason why it was meant for the whole region is because the market in the Asian area, particularly in this region, is a very vibrant market. It is a market that is poised to grow further. And that is the reason why it was done that way.
Yeah, the first question is, who do you think the R5 is targeted for?
Well, the R5, as we look at the specs, the R5 is meant more for professional users. Serious enthusiasts will find a lot of specs and a lot of features that they can use in this camera as well, definitely.
Of course, it's also the R6, which
yes,
is priced
definitely
considerably lower.
Yes, R6 is meant for the serious enthusiasts. I'm sure when they look at the specs and the camera, they will find that it far surpassed their expectation.
Okay. Why does it take for you guys this long to launch the R5?
Canon is always a very focused company in bringing out the best products that consumer wants. And as you know, they spend more than 8% of their gross sales in R&D. And so to bring about a product that meets expectation is not easy, challenging, but Canon always match that expectation. And of course, Canon also has a process where they reach out to the users to listen to what they want, and then they will bring it to the R&D, and then they bring it out, and there you are, the R5 and the R6.
The last big launch that people keep on talking about is the 5D Mark II.
Yes.
The R5 is there. We've seen a few years lapse. What will be the learnings that you got from launching cameras like the 5D Mark II until now, the R5?
Well, I guess one of the key area for Canon is to meet the expectation of the consumers. And having launched the 5D and now the R5 and the R6, our ears are always open to the feedback from the consumers. We are always open to their suggestions. In fact, the R5 and the R6 came about through this feedback from the ground, where we did a process of gathering information from the ground, listening to the specs and the areas that the users would like to have, and we put it all together, and that is the reason why we have such a fantastic R5 and R6 right now.
So it's having a full frame mirrorless, one of them is having an image in-body image stabilization, one of them. What would be the talkback or the feedback that you get?
Well, the customers were looking at cameras that they could use anywhere at low light situations as well. And so for the R5, we have 8K video recording, 12-bit RAW, internal recording, and that is something that in such a small body, the users will find that, it surpasses their expectation. And also with the in-body stabilization and the stabilization in the lens, we have something that definitely at 8 stops, they will definitely find it very usable.
See, this is where the contestation comes in.
Yes.
Because Jared Poulin, Peter McKinnon, these are famous names around the world.
That's right.
They have had pre-production units, and they were talking about, while they like a lot of things, they were talking about how the unit heats up. And some of the comparisons are made with some other Canon devices that can shoot 8K and cinematic cameras such as the C5, where there's built-in fans and they can cool in the device, but we don't have that in these kind of devices because, you know,
yes,
EOS series doesn't have that. And because of that, it does heat up. What would be some of the reactions from Canon on this?
Well, if you look at the C5 and any other cinematic cameras, you can see that they have a big body and there are cooling fans built in, but it is not meant for the consumers. It is not meant for you and me to carry around to do our videos and our still shootings. So what you have in the R5 and R6 are very powerfully engineered devices that can shoot videos and stills, not with the cinematic features inbuilt. The power of the cinematic features are inbuilt in these cameras, and it is not meant for cinematic use. But if you look at the features that are inherent in these cameras, you'll find that it's a true hybrid camera. It's not a still camera that can do videos. It is a true hybrid camera that can do videos and stills, and without compromising on the quality. And it gives so much creativity space for the users. And of course, some of this shooting that they do, they have flexibility. They can use the 4K mode, they can use the 8K mode, and they can use it for specialty purposes in the 8K, because I don't think people shoot in 8K all the time.
No.
Yeah, that's right.
Certainly not us.
Even
it's
the boys
nice to
here.
have. Yeah, even our colleagues behind the camera.
So
it's
really,
very rare.
Canon is future-proofing the investment that the user will put in these cameras, because it will be able to be used for many years to come.
Okay, so it can, but not necessarily that we do it all the time in terms of 8K.
Yeah.
But the 4K performance, where everybody's moving towards 4K slowly, and while everybody's enjoying 1080p right now, 4K is the next big thing.
Yes.
How does it perform in a 4K circumstances?
From the feedback that we have received from the ground and from some of our ambassadors that have used the cameras, the feedback is fantastic. The quality is superb, and the autofocusing is really precise. The autofocusing for human, the eye, face, and head detection, as well as for animal eye, the face and the body of the animal detection, whether it's birds, cats or dogs, is just on spot.
One reaction from a user that has had their hands on a pre-production body is that because of the IBIS and the IS in the lens,
that's right,
there is the in-body image stabilization in the body as well as the image stabilization in the lens. You create a scenario where it's very stable that you don't necessarily need a gimbal.
That's right.
So does this mean that you are also targeting users that are a little bit more rugged, a little bit more, pro vlogging? I wouldn't say vlogging per se, but pro vloggers out there, and also action-driven kind of stunts?
Yes, in a way, but if you look at the whole package of the cameras, it fulfills all areas of users, whether it's for sports, whether it's for outdoor use, whether it's for birding or animal photography, whether it's for indoor use, low light use. It's really an all-rounder, I must say. It's not only meant for the rugged use that you mentioned just now.
Some of the product launches that Canon has done
Yeah.
over the past few months, all right, we're not talking 2019, even in 2020,
Yes.
you guys are launching a lot of products.
Yeah, that's right.
What's the story there? Are you guys going aggressive to capture the market even further?
Oh, definitely. Canon has always been a very aggressive company. We are looking at pushing cutting-edge technology to bringing it to the consumers. And so, as you saw the 1DX launch, and now with the R5, R6, Canon is not stopping.
Even the cinematic cameras are...
Yes,
yeah.
definitely. We are not stopping. We will continue to push the age of technology to bring it to the hands of the users.
So the price point is actually quite varied.
Yes.
Something like an M50 is so cheap and it's good,
Yes,
right?
that's
Because
right,
that's how we record our shows on Notepad. It's done on the M50 because that's something that I wanted
Yes, that's
in the
right.
first place. But I've had my hands on the 5D. I've had my hands on all the other cameras as well. Not the cinematic just yet. The C5 is something that I'm looking forward to maybe towards the end of the year that we get our hands on it. But it means that you're targeting all the spectrum of the consumers. Does this mean that you guys are not structured in terms of who you're targeting, or you really want to service everyone?
Well, Canon is a very unique company because in the camera business, we actually cover from compact DSLR to mirrorless, from very small cameras to right up to cinematic cameras as well. So we are not all over the place, but we are very focused in each segment. In fact, for the camera business in Malaysia, we are the market leader. And so that's the unique part about Canon. We are very widespread, but we are very focused in each segment as well.
Let's talk a little bit about your position in the market.
Yeah.
And while in Malaysia you're the market leader, competition is very, very strife in terms of everywhere else around the world. And in Malaysia, your competitors are actually inching closer towards you guys. And that's, on one hand, it's good for us, the consumer, but on the other hand, it does talk about your company needing to reinvent yourself continuously to actually address the demands and wants of the company, of the consumers. How would you see yourself in managing that whole landscape of the camera business? Do you guys feel comfortable where you are at now?
I think the launch of the R5 is an example of the comfort level and the commitment that Canon has in this business. As you can see, it is not only cutting edge, it is beyond expectation of the consumers as well. And so we will always be there. Challenges are there definitely, but we'll always be there to overcome the challenges to bring what the consumers want in the market.
We'll take one short break before we
Yes.
continue our conversation with Canon. Canon's Albert. Don't go anywhere. Thanks for staying on with us. This is Notepad. I am with Albert Ma of Canon. They have just launched their EOS R5 and R6. Amid all the other launches that they have done over the past few months, I also want to talk a little bit about the retail landscape.
Yes.
So Albert, you guys are in the retail business. You guys know the retail business right now. You
Yes.
are a consumer-driven kind of company. And you do deal with businesses as well, not just
Yes, we do.
retailers as well, but businesses as well. What's it like doing business during the pandemic? Is it tough?
Doing business in the pandemic, I think...
Well, you sold one M50 during the pandemic, so that's
yes,
good, right?
M50 is still doing very, very well actually. Well, definitely there are challenges during this pandemic, but the challenge is to overcome them as a company and even as an individual or as a nation. For us, in terms of this marketing aspect, we saw that there is a surge in the online business, online activity, but we also noticed that many consumers seem to be more interested in producing images, whether it is through videos or through still photography. In fact, we had an increase in photo book printing from one of our business partners. And so we see an increase in that area as well, actually.
And what about the desire to create content post-MCO? Do you think that consumers will now want to create more? People like me, for instance, want to create more. Do you think that that is a trend moving forward?
Oh, I think that is not only a trend. I think it is a given.
Oh,
I think that content creation is the norm. Young people find it so easy. Even older people are catching up right now in content creation. You wouldn't believe some of the people are doing content right now. And I see in Malaysia right now that there's going to be an increase in content creation, definitely.
okay. So does it mean that because of this, you need to make your products a little bit more user-friendly, a little bit more widespread?
That has always been our focus, to bring it, to make the products more user-friendly, to make it more accessible, to bring cutting-edge technology that the people can use so that they can express their creativity in the content that they want to create. It's like the 8K that we have. I mean, it is not in the realm of the normal consumers like us, but that is what Canon is doing, putting it in the hands of the normal consumers.
So you have put it in the press. The R5 is 18,000 ringgit or thereof, right? R6 is about 10,000, 11,000 ringgit. This is just the body. We haven't talked about the lens. All in, we're looking at tens of thousands of ringgit in terms of investment spend. It does put it out of reach of the many, but it does give a focus into some of the professional users. They want the best product out there. This is the range that they're going to get. Does this limit your opportunity to reach more possible users because of that price point?
Well, as you mentioned just now, and I gave a reply, that we have a whole spectrum of products that covers all areas of price points actually. And there is actually a increasing market in producing content that is not only creative, but also beautiful and gorgeous. And so there is also a return in their investment actually in some of this content that the people are creating. As you know, some of the people are looking into content creation to get revenue, to get income. And so that's where we come in to give these tools into the hands of these young people or even older people in Malaysia that is have this creativity aspect in our country.
Some of the manufacturers, be
Yes.
it phone manufacturers all the way to camera manufacturers like you guys, they have ancillary services and coaching sessions as well. Is that in the works for Canon?
Oh yes, we have been doing that all the time. We have workshops on ground, but because of the pandemic, we have moved our workshops online. We have webinars, we do tutorials, we do videos, we do clips, we do all kinds of things online to get in touch with our customers and keep them there so that they can continue to have value add, not only just a product, but we will bring in the tutorials to teach them how to use and how to get the best of the product that we put in their hands.
End-to-end as well, including post-production.
Yes, for post-production, we do have our software. We do give free tutorials as well for users to be able to bring about a good end product as well.
A lot of users right now are looking and watching reviews of the pre-production unit, not just of the EOS R5
Yes.
or R6. Generally speaking, when you guys launch, people are looking at that. How different is the pre-production unit with the production unit?
Well, in the pre-production unit, they are looking to get feedback from the key people that they are putting the
Your ambassadors.
yes, in their hands. And from that feedback, they will try to continue to improve on some of the areas that they need to.
So there will be some slight differences.
Yes, definitely. It will be a product that is ready for people to use in their,
So
wherever they are.
generally speaking, will be slightly better.
Yes,
All right.
definitely.
And firmware updates, for instance.
All
does
that is
happen?
continuous. Firmware upgrade is something that we always continue to provide improvements that we can to bring about enhancement to the products that we have for the customers. So that it is not just a static product. With the firmware enhancement that we have, we continuously bring improvement to the product that they have.
You know, your consumers are getting smarter, getting braver, getting more dramatic, getting more
Yes.
adventurous, therefore demanding more from your products.
Yes.
Do you think that you have what it takes to respond to their needs and wants?
I
At the
think
price point that they can actually palate. You know, if you give me a $50,000 camera, yeah, of course, I would definitely love. But yeah, but
Yes.
I don't have that kind of money for that kind of
Yes.
investments.
I think a very good example is the M50 that you mentioned. The M50 is still one of the best-selling video logging cameras that we have, mirrorless, APS-C, no doubt. But
No,
it
it's
brings
okay.
so much
I don't-
value. Yes, so
yeah.
much value, and it's such a fantastic product. And that's just an example of what we bring to the table for the customers. Definitely, the R5 and R6 has a higher price point, but it brings about so much more that nobody's complaining. Actually, in fact, the pre-orders have far surpassed our expectation.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
And you want to share those numbers?
Numbers are not given globally, but that is the report that we're receiving from Japan.
So pre-order sales.
This is globally, yes, correct.
Fantastic. Okay.
Yeah.
And in Malaysia, when are we going to get the thing on the shelves of the stores here?
Oh, they are coming very soon. By August, we will be having the products, and stay tuned to our websites. We will have more information there.
Fantastic. That was my conversation with Albert Ma of Canon. We've had a rather robust conversation on not just the EOS R5 and R6, but of course the business of digital imaging as well. And of course Canon is an old company. I've had your colleague here a few months ago. We've had a long chat about the company itself. Do check that interview out. You can just head on to astroawani.com, look for Notepad for these kind of interviews there. Until then, thanks very much for watching and goodbye.